This is History is Lit, where two teens explore absurd stories from history. Today's topic, Beowulf. The story of Beowulf is actually the oldest known story written in Old English. Old English is nothing like the modern English we speak now. Beowulf was written 1,000 years ago in England, actually. So we're just going to get into the basics of the story. So basically, there was this prince named Beowulf, and he was the Prince of Geats. And he has this friend named Hrothgar, the king of this place called Danes. Beowulf and Hrothgar build this hall-type building called the Harrot for Hrothgar to do his king stuff. And miles away in this place called the Lake of Monsters lives a crusty, musty, dusty creature named Grendel. Grendel is a long descendant of the biblical figure Cain. So basically, Grendel is living in his little cave in the Lake of Monsters, contemplating if he should have cheesecake for dinner, until he hears Hrothgar and his entire kingdom partying like literal animals. Grendel hears them from his little cave and struts up there and unalives all the Nordic people in the hall. All of them. And Hrothgar is like, "No! My people!" And then Hrothgar calls up Beowulf and is like, "I need your help, bro. Grendel came and killed all my people." And so Beowulf is like, "Okay, on my way, bro." So then he comes over with all his people, the Geats, and offers to slay the beast, Grendel. And Beowulf says, "Grendel isn't much of a warrior, so I don't think I will be using any weapons or armor." So I personally wouldn't want to do that. Yeah. And everyone in there was like, that's a great idea. So Grendel and Beowulf have it out in this big fight. Then Beowulf tears off Grendel's arm with his own hands without any armor or swords or anything. Then he gives Grendel's arm to Hrothgar to hang up in the Harrot as a trophy. Then Hrothgar gives Beowulf a ton of gold and money and stuff. And then after everyone's done partying, Grendel's mother comes in. She's like, "Where's my son at?" She finds Grendel's arm in the Harrot and takes it with her back to the Lake of Monsters. Then Hrothgar sends Beowulf back down to Grendel's mother in the lake to hunt her down. So Beowulf goes through this crazy adventure of crazy fantasy book looking places until he reaches the Lake of Monsters, right? So he reaches the Lake of Monsters and he finds a whole bunch of sea monsters in there. And it's like chaotic because he's already there and he has to fight all of these extra creatures to get to the mom. So he actually puts on heavy plated armor this time and just cannonballs into the lake where Grendel's mom is. So he just descends down. Like he doesn't even try to swim himself down. He just lets his weight carry down because I guess his lungs are the size of train cars and he just holds his breath for hours. Then Grendel's mom sees Beowulf descending down and she just snatches him right up from the entrance of the cave. And then they start this huge epic fight battle thing. They're just having it all out. Grendel's mother just tries to stab him a whole bunch, and then Beowulf finds this magical sword in her cave because I guess she has a hoarding problem. So then Beowulf finds this sword, and in fact this sword is the only type of sword that can like hurt these type of monsters because they were forged by giants, and that I guess these giants knew something that they didn't. So Beowulf then unalives Grendel's mother with his new magic sword, but as soon as he does, it just dissolves like into thin air. So he looks around the cave for a while and sees Grendel's corpse because his mom brought it with her, and then cuts off the head and swims back up to the surface and gives it to Hrothgar as a present. Again, taxidermy addiction is real. Beowulf, you need to stop. After that's all done and everyone's partying again in the Harrot, Beowulf and the Geats decide to sail back to their homeland because I guess they had enough of all the violence and taxidermy addiction. And then Beowulf presents the king of Geatland, the current king of Geatland at the time, with all the treasures that he got during the fights. And then King Hygelac, which is the king of Geatland at the time, gives Beowulf a really nice sword, a bunch of land, and a really nice house. I wish I could earn that. Fast forward, King Hygelac dies. Okay, rest in peace. RIP. And then Beowulf is now king of Geats. He's now crowned the king of Geats. So, that's great. And rules 50 years without any incident. That's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. So, until one day, some random dude decides to make this dragon really mad. So this dragon had been sleeping in a cave, ironically filled with gold treasure for who knows how long. Then that random dude goes into the cave and steals the dragon's favorite golden cutlery set or something. And the dragon wakes up, and you guessed it, he is mad. Okay? The dragon gets up from the cave and starts hunting down the thief the old-fashioned way, which is burning literally everything in sight to finally get the right person. Then coincidentally, this dragon ends up setting Beowulf's new house that he literally just got on fire. So then Beowulf challenges this dragon, this huge dragon, okay, bigger than your average church cathedral. Okay, so then Beowulf challenges this dragon to a single combat. Beowulf calls for all his 12 besties and the thief who stole the dragon's golden cutlery set, okay? Then he gets to fighting this huge dragon, but remember that sword that King Hygelac gave to Beowulf? So this is the sword that he uses to defeat the dragon. Then unfortunately, 3 seconds into the fight, the sword literally snaps in half. A huge dragon, and you just started fighting, and then the sword that you were given snaps in half, okay? That's really inconvenient. So Beowulf's besties just bail, okay? They run like little girls, except for one, Beowulf's kingsman, who attempts to defend Beowulf before the dragon bites a huge chunk out of Beowulf's neck. Gaping wound, okay? So he miraculously survives this and just goes back to stabbing this dragon with the dagger that he had left over, because of course his trusty sword snapped in half. So now you think that Beowulf would notice this huge gaping neck wound after he defeated the dragon, right? Nah. He's too awesome to die of major blood loss. But deadly dragon poison, there's no exceptions for that, okay? So Beowulf is literally dying. Then, of course, he asks his kingsman to get all the treasure that he just won, so he could look at it one last time before he dies, because, of course, that's exactly what anyone else would do. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would. So his kingsman comes back to let Beowulf see all the treasure. Then Beowulf is like, have fun being the next king, and dies. That is a huge burden to put on this poor kid, because he's a kid. I mean, he's a teenager. This kingsman is a teen that just got crowned the king of Geatland. Then Beowulf's kingsman, aka King Beowulf, becomes the new king of Geatland. That's it for History is Lit. Thanks for listening.